Did you know that Cleopatra wasn't just the queen of Egypt, but a master of political strategy and seduction? How did a single woman captivate two of the most powerful men in Roman history, Julius Caesar and Mark Antony? And what shocking event sealed her fate as one of the most legendary figures of all time? Stay tuned to find out. Before we get started, don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications to stay updated with our latest content. And make sure to stick around until the very end, because we'll reveal the most surprising fact about Cleopatra that you won't want to miss. Cleopatra VII, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic kingdom of Egypt, is one of history's most fascinating and misunderstood figures. Born in 69 BC, Cleopatra was part of the Ptolemaic dynasty, a Greek family that had ruled Egypt since the time of Alexander the Great. The Ptolemies had reigned for nearly 300 years, maintaining a fusion of Greek and Egyptian culture within their kingdom. Although she was born on the African continent, Cleopatra was not black. She belonged to the Ptolemaic dynasty, a family of Macedonian Greek origin that ruled Egypt after Alexander the Great's conquest in the 4th century BC. The Ptolemies maintained their Greek lineage throughout their reign, intermarrying within their family, so most historians agree that Cleopatra had Greek ancestry. However, the identities of her mother and maternal grandmother are not fully documented, leading to some speculation about the possibility of mixed Greek and Iranian ethnicity in her heritage. But there is no solid evidence that Cleopatra had sub-Saharan African ancestry. The coins and busts that represent her show a woman with more severe features, including a prominent nose, which doesn't match the idealized beauty often portrayed in films. This suggests that her attractiveness lay more in her wit, diplomatic abilities, and ability to charm powerful figures like Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, rather than in her physical beauty. One of the most well-known representations of Cleopatra is a bust found in Alexandria, now housed in the Berlin Museum of Antiquities. In it, Cleopatra has a dignified and regal appearance, with features that do not align with the idealized images from Hollywood. Cleopatra was not like her predecessors. While most Ptolemies didn't even bother learning the Egyptian language, Cleopatra made sure she could speak it fluently, along with several other languages, including Greek, Hebrew, and Aramaic. She saw herself not just as a ruler of Egypt, but as a protector of Egyptian culture, in a time when Roman influence was encroaching on every corner of the Mediterranean. The Ptolemies were known for their complex family dynamics, often marrying siblings to keep the throne within the family. Cleopatra herself was involved in multiple marriages, beginning with her brother Ptolemy XIII. The Ptolemaic family was rife with internal conflict, and Cleopatra's marriage to her brother was more about politics than love. As was common for Ptolemaic rulers, sibling rivalry soon turned to civil war. By 48 BC, Cleopatra had been ousted from the throne by her brother Ptolemy XIII. As the power struggle between them intensified, Cleopatra found herself exiled and her reign threatened. But Cleopatra was determined to reclaim her position, and fate soon brought her the opportunity to do so when Julius Caesar arrived in Egypt that same year. Cleopatra devised a bold and strategic plan to meet Caesar. Unable to enter the palace freely, as it was under her brother's control, she arranged to be smuggled in secret. The alliance between Cleopatra and Caesar soon led to military action. The Egyptian civil war culminated in the Battle of the Nile in 47 BC. Cleopatra, with Caesar's support, faced her brother Ptolemy XIII and his forces. The battle ended in a decisive victory for Cleopatra and Caesar. Ptolemy XIII attempted to flee, but tragically drowned in the Nile while escaping. His death consolidated Cleopatra's power in Egypt, allowing her to regain the throne. However, Cleopatra's struggles were far from over. She had a younger sister, Arsinoe IV, with whom she had a tense and bitter relationship. Arsinoe had declared herself pharaoh and fought alongside Egyptian forces against Caesar during the civil war. After the defeat of Ptolemy XIII, Arsinoe was captured and paraded as a prisoner in Caesar's triumph in Rome. Although Caesar spared her life, Cleopatra saw her as a continuing threat. Years later, Cleopatra persuaded her lover, Mark Antony, to execute Arsinoe in 41 BC, violating the sanctity of the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus, which caused outrage in Roman society. Cleopatra's political ties with Rome deepened through her relationship with Julius Caesar. At the time of their affair, Caesar was married to Calpurnia, his third wife. Although their marriage was largely political, Cleopatra's presence in Rome, especially with their son Caesarion, likely caused tension. Calpurnia remained loyal to Caesar, even trying to warn him about the conspiracy that led to his assassination on the Ides of March in 44 BC. Despite the tension, Calpurnia stayed by Caesar's side until his death. Cleopatra and Caesar's son, Ptolemy XV Philopator Philometor Caesar, commonly known as Caesarion, was a key figure in Cleopatra's plans for the future of Egypt. While Caesar never officially acknowledged him as his legitimate son in Rome, he did allow Cleopatra to name Caesarion as co-regent in Egypt. This was a clear sign of recognition of his paternity. After Caesar's assassination, Cleopatra aligned herself with Mark Antony, Caesar's close ally. Together, they envisioned a powerful Eastern empire. Antony gave Cleopatra control over several Eastern Mediterranean territories, including parts of Phoenicia, Cilicia, Cyprus, and Crete, expanding Egypt's influence and further solidifying Cleopatra's power. This distribution of territories, often referred to as the donations of Alexandria, allowed Cleopatra to become one of the most powerful rulers in the Eastern Roman territories. Cleopatra and Antony's relationship produced 3 children, Alexander Helios and Cleopatra Selene, twins born in 40 BCE, and later Ptolemy Philadelphus. These children were seen as symbols of the union between Egypt and Rome, with the hope that they would one day govern a powerful Eastern empire. Despite their personal and political success, the relationship between Cleopatra and Antony became a point of contention in Roman politics, especially with Octavian, Caesar's adopted heir. Antony's connection with Cleopatra increasingly alienated him from Roman elites. Octavian used this to his advantage, launching a propaganda campaign that depicted Antony as a man corrupted and controlled by Cleopatra's seductive powers. Cleopatra was portrayed as a foreign temptress who had bewitched Antony, steering him away from his Roman duties and ambitions. In contrast, Octavian positioned himself as the defender of traditional Roman values, casting Cleopatra as a dangerous figure who threatened the stability of Rome. This propaganda war escalated tensions between Antony and Octavian, eventually leading to the final conflict between them, culminating in the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE. Throughout their relationship, Cleopatra and Antony had navigated a delicate balance of power, but their ultimate defeat would signal the end of both their reigns and the independence of Egypt. Cleopatra and Antony's forces faced Octavian in the decisive Battle of Actium in 31 BC, where they suffered a crushing defeat. They retreated to Alexandria, knowing their fate was sealed. In the face of their inevitable downfall, both Cleopatra and Mark Antony chose to end their lives. Antony, believing Cleopatra had already died, fell on his sword. Cleopatra, determined to avoid the humiliation of being paraded through Rome as a captive of Octavian, famously committed suicide, reportedly by allowing a venomous asp to bite her. What about Caesarion? Cleopatra had hoped that he would one day rule both Egypt and Rome, but after her death, Octavian saw him as a threat to his power and had him executed, ensuring that there would be no rival claims to Caesar's legacy. The final resting place of Cleopatra and Mark Antony remains one of history's greatest mysteries. According to ancient sources, such as the historian Plutarch, Octavian allowed the lovers to be buried together in a mausoleum. However, the exact location of their tomb has been lost to time. Some archaeologists believe it may be submerged near the ancient city of Alexandria, while others speculate that it could be at the site of Taposiris Magna. Excavations continue, but the tomb of Cleopatra and Mark Antony remains undiscovered, adding to the enduring enigma of their lives. And now, as we promised, the most amazing fact about Cleopatra. Ptolemy's forces controlled the palace in Alexandria, making it impossible for Cleopatra to meet Caesar openly. In a bold and strategic move, she had herself smuggled into Caesar's quarters wrapped in a carpet, or a sack of cloth, to avoid being captured by her brother's guards. By surprising Caesar in this dramatic way, she was able to secure a private audience with him, leading to their political and romantic alliance, which ultimately helped her regain the throne of Egypt. When she was unwrapped before him, Caesar was reportedly struck by her intelligence, charm, and political savvy. This dramatic encounter marked the beginning of their political and romantic alliance, which would help Cleopatra reclaim her throne. It was a calculated political maneuver that secured her reign and changed the fate of Egypt forever. And now that you know the story behind Cleopatra's legendary carpet stunt, what other historical mysteries would you like us to uncover? Let us know in the comments below. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you want us to cover a specific topic, please write it in the comments. Give this video a like and share it so your family and friends can also learn about Cleopatra, the queen who seduced an empire. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. And don't miss our recommended video at the end. You will enjoy it. Never forget, history is the imitator of time, the repository of actions, the witness of the past, the example and warning of the present, the caution for the future.